I'm always suspicious when someone just says they're an entrepreneur. Of what? Who is this guy? Apparently, he's had a very, very privileged past, as friends and former co-workers weigh in on who he is. To Susan Raff, WFSB TV, who is he?
Well, I understand, grew up in Martha's Vineyard. He was living there. He does come from a life of privilege. I mean, to drive a Porsche SUV like that, he clearly comes from money. He was renting a house in Deep River, Connecticut, for about 2 months. So that can't be inexpensive. It's a very expensive home. He was renting a home in Deep River for 2 months. His social media accounts are very, you can see for yourself. He was experimenting with a lot of things, and he definitely comes from money.
From what I can glean regarding his background, he is a former University of Massachusetts student who claims to run, and I'm quoting, a leading global digital marketing and social media management agency. That's a mouthful. What's he doing on the beach if he's running a global digital marketing and social media management agency? Okay, he claims he's got offices in Manhattan, Beverly Hills, Paris, and Naples. Talk about a con man. Joining me, forensic psychologist who was the co-creator of the Columbia Mass Murder Database, Dr. Gary Bricado. Dr. Bricado, in some cases I would classify this as swagger, i.e. lies. But this is over the top, Dr. Bricado, a leading global digital marketing and social media management agency with offices in Manhattan, Beverly Hills, Paris, and Naples.
Right.
He's a BSer.
Right. Well, when we created the database, one of the things we learned about people, whatever mechanism it is they use to attempt a mass murder or to commit one, is that there tends to be, as a general rule with these individuals, a precipitating event that is like the match that goes to the straw that sets them off. And so what I think you have is an expression of anger that exploded in a person whose whole identity was wrapped up around those things.
Well, while he claims to run a leading global digital marketing and social media management agency in Manhattan, Beverly Hills, Paris, and Naples, his friends from his former college say they remember him as simply being odd. They claim he only went to school for a semester, then disappeared. He claimed to be a social media influencer back then in college, but according to college friends or associates, they thought that was a joke, that he was considered just to be odd. Back to Susan Raff, WFSB. I understand he lived at an island home, which was the home to politicians and celebrities for years, and I assume that the reports are referring to Martha's Vineyard.
That's correct. He was living on Martha's Vineyard. I think he's from Martha's Vineyard. But most recently, I believe he was living in Agawam, Massachusetts, which is outside of Springfield.
The stabbing spree at the AMC theater, followed by a stabbing spree at a local McDonald's, was not the end of the story, but I'm curious about the McDonald's spree. Back to Susan Raff. What, if anything, tipped off? What was the genesis of the McDonald's stabbing? Because there was no genesis at the AMC. What about the McDonald's? Did they get the order wrong or what?
I don't think so. I spoke actually with one of the employees who was stabbed, a female who worked there. First, it's believed that he drove to the drive-through. He got upset about an order, but he lunged through the drive-through window and stabbed a male employee at that McDonald's several times, then parked his Porsche and went inside the McDonald's and stabbed a female employee several times in the arms. The employee that I spoke to who works at that McDonald's said she was terrified, and now she's afraid to go to work. She doesn't really know what to do, and she can't use her arms right now because they're all bandaged.